Welcome one and all to Umami Manga. I'm Petter and this is James.
Hello.
And today we're talking about Volume 7 of Oshi no Ko. The book picks up where the previous one ended, with Kana and Akane in a quote-unquote showdown on the stage during the Tokyo Blade premiere. Kana purposely allowed Akane to take the spotlight there, but by the end of the play, they both appeared to be a bit jealous of the other one's talents for various reasons.
We'll call it a draw.
Yes. Furthermore, the play was a success, and the cast and crew went to drink together from time to time. And on one of those outings, Aqua revealed to Taiki Himekawa that they are half-brothers. They have the same father. He asked Taiki about their father, only to find out that he's dead.
What?
And this was, of course, shocking news and really caught Aqua by surprise. So what does he do now? And as he's started to reflect on life, Bikomachi made a room tour video, or maybe multiple room tour videos, and started preparing a trip to Miyazaki. Finally, the volume ends with Ruby sending a greeting video to the musician of the old Bikomachi, with which she was able to get him inspired and ready to write and compose again.
Indeed.
So this was a juicy volume for a few reasons.
Yeah, it was. I say so. I think it moves the plot away from the Tokyo Blade arc, or whatever the arc was called.
Right.
And moves it on to more so the main plot line. Puts that back in the spotlight, but in a way that perhaps we weren't thinking it would go, and then brings back Bikomachi. So I'm pretty satisfied with this volume.
Absolutely. I guess without further ado, we dive into the character discussions, though.
Yes.
Great. Then let's start with Aquamarine Hoshino. Kana noticed that Aqua was really good at reacting on stage and kind of adapting to unforeseen things by improvising and getting the scene back on track.
Mm-hmm.
She seemed to be quite surprised by that. But to me, like, I don't think she should have been that surprised, considering Aqua's performance as the stalker in the Sweet Today drama, where I think he ad-libbed quite freely.
It's true, he did. That's a good point. I guess because it's a different setting, maybe.
Fair.
You're on stage in a live performance where, you can't do another take. Not that he did another take in the previous one, supposedly, but I don't know. Maybe it was just that the setting was so different that
that's fair.
It made her react that way. But you're right. It's not like it's completely new.
Right. Yeah. Like on stage acting and on video acting definitely is different. So yeah, it could have been something like that. But I thought that the instance here was similar in another way as well, not just in Aqua improvising kind of, but also with how Aqua's efforts in that instance allowed Kana to shine with her acting.
Mm-hmm.
It's also something that this instance and that previous one in Sweet Today had in common. And that was very nice.
Yeah. I also noted that it was another instance of Aqua saving the day, in a way. How I've kind of picked on that throughout the story. It always seems like it's Aqua's the one to set up the moment to save the day. Even if this was just a little smaller one, of course, it did end up going through Aqua that
that's fair.
This moment was made. So all I'm saying is maybe put your protagonist down to earth just a little bit.
And I hope he is here to a degree.
Yeah.
With what's going on at the end.
Right. Mm-hmm. You have a point. But we learned that the guilt is his panic trigger or whatever you want to call it, and how he uses that to fuel his hatred for acting.
Yeah.
This never enjoy acting again. So melodramatic.
It is.
To me, acting is revenge. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
I mean, I think for some people will be like, that line is so fire. It's so hard. I think some people are gonna love it, and that's fine.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
if you love it, dear
absolutely.
listener, that's totally fine. I'm gonna just say it's super cringe to me. But I totally understand using your past experiences and your feelings from your own life into your acting. It's a very credible way. I mean, any way, as long as you look good, is fine. But that I know that's a way that some people will act, is they'll remember something from their past and either multiply that by 10 or
Mm.
whatever to get the certain reaction they need. But I guess in Aqua's case, it's more like dialing it down just a little bit. But actually, I guess it's pretty spot on for the moment in that play to use those emotions.
Yeah, definitely. Like both of the instances there at the end. First with
Yeah.
like the sadness over her death, and then with the relief or just immense happiness over her coming back to life.
Uh-huh.
Like it was very well done. And I have to comment on the line he said that you found cringe, and I see what you mean, I do, but
Yeah.
I may not find it outright cringe personally. I thought it was. I mean, it definitely is melodramatic or overdramatic. Maybe is a better word.
Hmm.
But I thought it made sense in the scene where it was, and like as an establisher of just how passionate Aqua is about his goal, about his revenge, that he's willing to go through with all this suffering through his acting in order to get it.
Mm.
Especially considering the twist that comes only a few chapters later, where all of that is stripped away from him,
Hmm.
for it to be established so strongly.
Yeah.
I kind of liked it.
Fair. I don't know. I don't know if it's too on the point, on the nose, or just too kind of ridiculous to me. I mean, it's almost like say singing is my revenge or basket weaving is my revenge. It's like it's such a mundane thing, but maybe that's what makes it genius. But I don't know. But I do see your point that it has become his the way that he's going to get his revenge is through this.
Mm.
I don't know. I still think it's cringe though.
That's
The way
fair.
it's said, and we know, if you listener, if you've been following us this entire time, I have an issue with the over the top acting that's portrayed in the manga and even in the anime. It just something about it just just kind of hits me in the wrong way. But not I don't want to take that or have that take away from your enjoyment. Please do not. Just know that's how I feel. That's all.
Right, and well, and actually, since you brought that up, I have to also mention something that I took a little bit of an issue with while reading this volume
Mm-hmm.
regarding the acting is how the way it's depicted on the pages or kind of in the story, it kind of seems like as the actors are seeing each other on stage and acting together on stage, it seems almost like this is the first time that they do these scenes together
Right.
in a way, in how
Yeah.
they're reacting to one another. I don't have any concrete examples, but like multiple times throughout the premiere part here of this volume, it kind of felt to me like they hadn't done these scenes 100 times before, which they most likely have,
Mm-hmm.
but that they're like deciding things now, like during the premiere, they're deciding all of these various things. It like that part seemed incredibly unrealistic, but I get it for the narrative. Like, sure, they
Right.
kind of had to do it like this, I guess. But yeah.
And maybe that's my issue, is that the platform they're using to, or I should say, I guess the theme of the story being acting, at least in this section, is just hard for me to totally suspend my disbelief.
Mm.
But it is what it is. I was gonna say that I can understand being in the heat of the premiere, performing in front of people. That could definitely give you a different energy. I know
Sure.
in my own acting experience, having an audience to perform for, honestly, particularly after I was done, with like the first scene or something like that, it made me a lot less nervous than when I had to, you know, go in front of the director or whoever
Mm.
and do a run through and oh my gosh, am I gonna mess this up? How is he gonna hate me this time?
I see.
But then when I'm performing, it's a little different. But it's different for each person. Some people
Absolutely.
that environment is a little tougher, or it's not tough at all, and they excel. So I guess in that sense, I can believe it. But I do agree with you that some of those changes that they made, particularly like I'm gonna ad lib here. It's like, what are we doing?
Right.
Why now?
Uh, but it was still entertaining. Like I still enjoyed it.
Yeah, yeah. I still it's hard to portray actual on stage acting in a format like this. I think
Probably,
at
yeah.
least in a way that I find believable. Just like having Kana, sparkle randomly, like, oh my gosh, she's brighter than the sun. It's just like, what? If someone were to start doing that on stage of all things, especially if I was watching what was probably supposed to be a serious moment, I don't know. To me, that seems ridiculous. But obviously to the audience, they were just captivated by it. So
Well, like what we see as manga readers there might not be representative of what the audience is seeing in her acting. I think it's more along the lines of like her star quality that she is just letting loose
fair.
as she's doing the acting that she should be doing. Kind of. At least that's how I'm interpreting that, or choosing to interpret that.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I will admit I am overly harsh on this for whatever reason.
It's all good. It's all good. Luckily, this arc seems to be mostly over now, so.
Oh, thank goodness. It's not like I hated it, but it was hard to read sometimes. I will say that moment, or I guess the whole death scene in the play and Aqua's reaction, I think that is going to be the jump start to his acting career. I don't think
Right.
he's done yet.
No. Oh no.
With that, even with the supposed confirmation that his dad is dead, I strongly believe that he will reach greater heights because of this.
I think so too. And like because the director and the producer seem to notice it as well. Like he definitely is. He can get some more acting jobs if he wants to now. I'm sure.
Absolutely. Before we move on from this part, I'm glad he had a mental confrontation with himself.
Yeah.
And recognize what exactly haunts him.
Definitely.
In that sense, he's kind of come to grips with Ai's death in a different way. I don't think he's healed or anything like that, at least in that moment. But I think that was an important state for his mental being.
Yeah. Very good that he went through that.
Hey, acting can be cathartic. It absolutely can be.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
There's no question about that, especially if you're going through something difficult. Sports, acting, any kind of hobby, performance can be very soothing and cathartic.
Music.
Yep, music. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. We talked about a manga recently about that.
And so yeah, as we said, Aqua found out that he and Taiki Himekawa are half brothers and they share the same father. And so while they had a little bit of a bonding time, the two of them, as Aqua found out that their dad is an actor, or was an actor, named Seijuro Uehara, who committed suicide about 14 years ago. Obviously a massive twist for Aqua and for us, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Well, mostly for Aqua.
Yeah. kind of underwhelming for both Aqua and me, I would
Right.
say.
I mean, it's anticlimactic
Underwhelming.
as hell.
Yeah, anticlimactic. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Aqua is preparing for this grand reveal and master plan. He's like, I am your son. But he doesn't really get that,
Right. Mm-hmm.
supposedly. So I don't think the story is going to let it end there. There's more to this than meets the eye.
There's gotta be, right? Yeah.
Yeah. But because of this, he starts really changing how he thinks.
Mm-hmm.
And even though he wants to be motivated by this urge to get revenge, he's like, oh, wait a minute. I already know the truth. And it really just kind of
Yeah.
changes his mood and his composure.
Totally.
One thing I also notice is that the star is missing in his eye. When Ruby asks, "Do you want breakfast?" he looks at her, and the star is gone I believe it's his right eye. So I mean, both eyes now.
Oh my God.
But then when he starts thinking that maybe Himura could be a key figure, he gets it back, and he's like, oh yeah, and then he realizes his dad is supposedly dead, and then it goes away.
Duh.
So I thought that was an interesting little detail that they included.
I wonder why. Because the star isn't there because of his revenge feelings. The star was there before I died.
Right. You know, it could be that the motivation in his life is a sign of it disappearing, and so he may seem like he's mellowed down, but really in the inside he's kind of lost, unsure what to do, how to feel. And so maybe this is a sign of him not truly being okay that the the revenge goes basically unaccomplished,
Hmm.
unappeased, and then through therapy he can get that star back. I
I could
but
be. Could be. Yeah.
yeah, at the end of the day, I think it's just symbolic of something being lost in him.
True. That yeah. I can buy that for sure. Good catch though. I had totally not picked up on that.
Yeah, it wasn't until
So
my second read through that I got it.
mm, cool. But yeah, can he allow himself to be happy again? To a degree, it seems like he is, at least for now.
Yeah.
And I hope he sticks to it, or I hope he's able to continue to be happy, but you never know.
If everything we've heard is true and factual,
Right.
I would really want there to be a an arc for Aqua to come to grips with that and to find new meaning and motivation in his life to, I guess, get that spark back,
Mm,
to get something back in his life. Because to me, it does feel like while he may be mellowed out, it does feel like he's kind of a dead man walking in a way.
mm.
That's just my opinion, but I think it'd just be more satisfying for the reader to see him go through almost the 5 steps of grief. Is that what it is?
Yeah. Or yeah, five stages of grief.
5 stages of grief. That's the word.
Mm.
Uh, and finally coming to an acceptance that okay, I don't need this. I don't need this. I's gone.
Uh-huh.
My father is gone. I can let myself live this life now.
Yeah, because for like 10 years now, he's had this obsession, or more than 10 years. At least 12 years. He's had this obsession, I think.
Yeah,
Because he was 4 when I died, right? And now he's 16? Or
yeah.
he's nearly 17? I think he's
I think he's 17
I
now.
think Himekawa said you're what 17, but we
Yeah,
didn't get like I don't think Aqua like said anything there. I think last time we got an age for him he was 16, but he may have turned 17 since then. I don't really know. Anyway,
hmm
for at least like 12 or 13 years he's been having this revenge. So I think it's gonna take a while for him to figure things out and like
yeah.
get better, like mentally.
Right. Yeah. And I hope it's a journey that we come to appreciate.
Right.
It could be something that's a really good piece of storytelling. I think
For
really good
sure.
character exploration. But that all being said, there could be a potential for there to be a final acceptance of it all. Okay, that it is what it is. I can finally be myself, and then plot twist, something reveals itself that everything he was told before is actually not true.
Oh, like after he's accepted it all? Oof, that would.
Yeah. And then it switches it back. I think that's not out of the realm of possibility for Akasaka.
No, oh no.
Just saying.
I like it.
Yeah. But that's all I have on Aqua, I think.
All right, I just have a few more little things.
Okay.
So, well, about his father, supposed father thing, I just wanted to point out something that seems like it
maybe
may not,
maybe we're gonna point out the same thing.
Something
You
that may not
first.
add up. Okay. It's that Aqua would have been, I believe, 2 years old when the supposed father died.
Yeah.
Maybe 3 at most.
Yeah.
But he was 4, as I said, I believe, at least, when I died. So if Uehara is the real father, then he probably didn't have anything to do with Ai's death.
Yeah.
And we are supposed to think that the father is responsible for her death, right? In which case, Uehara probably isn't the father. But I don't know.
Right. It seems like an inconsistency.
Uh-huh.
And also it's strange that Aqua wouldn't have put that together. He had the piece. I mean, we had the pieces. We knew that Taiki was 20, at least around 20.
I think he was 19 when he was introduced at the start of this arc.
Right. But
But
he's turned 20 since then.
I suppose so, yeah.
They said in this volume.
Oh, right. And in that case, maybe this happened 15 years ago, which actually probably makes the gap in time between the supposed father's death and Ai's death even bigger. So, yeah.
Right, exactly. So he's 20. Aqua is supposedly 17. So that's 3 years. Taiki said I was probably 5 when my father died. So at the very least, like you said, he would have been 2.
Right.
And that's just not true. Even if it would have been 3, that's just not possible for what we've had in the first volume.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that is huge inconsistency, and I guess he just didn't put that together at the time. I guess he can't blame him too much for not thinking of that, and that kind of makes him more human.
Yeah.
To totally forget that part.
He's not a supercomputer.
Right. I mean, it's hard to process when you feel like you found your dad, and then he's actually dead.
Uh-huh.
Kind of hard to process anything else, but I have a feeling that's going to creep up again somehow, and that's how he'll figure it out.
Yeah, right. That'll be exciting. But yeah, obviously through Taiki, we got this whole reveal, or Aqua got this whole reveal. But another thing that Aqua got through Taiki was the pointer about Aqua playing Kana and Akane at the moment.
Yeah.
And Taiki told him that he should stop that and make up his mind as soon as possible. And I agree with Taiki, of course. And I hope to see Aqua actually take his advice now. And I think, considering how things are at the moment, I think there's a decent chance that he may. At least a better chance now than it was before.
Well, I mean, they're going to Miyazaki with Bikomachi is. Actually, do we know for a fact he's coming too? Right?
I don't know for a fact if we know. In Kana's fantasies, he was coming with.
He was.
But I don't know.
But if he's coming, and Akane won't be there. Although I'm sure Akane would sneak her way in somehow.
She totally.
Like, oh, you guys are in Miyazaki. Didn't see that coming. coincidence.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could definitely be a moment for potential love to blossom.
Yeah.
And maybe he's about to do it, and then he's like, wait a minute, 20. He's 20. I'm 17. 3 year difference. He was 5. What happened? Blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Goes big brain at that point. I don't know. However it happens,
Yeah,
uh,
it'll come to
I
him.
don't see the love happening yet, but maybe he can make some progress towards that before going completely
At least stop
back into
flip-flopping
revenge.
between Kana and Akane. Like, at
Yeah,
least something. Oh well.
they're gonna milk it, dude. They're gonna milk it.
Well, but I don't think Akasaka is the mangaka who milks things too much.
Careful who you say that to.
Maybe I will be, but like, look at Kaguya-sama. It's not a bit much of a spoiler. I'm not going to go specific, but that entire manga wasn't a love war between
Wasn't a
the two
harem.
main characters. For one, it wasn't a harem, but it also wasn't a back and forth love war between the two protagonists for 28 volumes.
Oh,
Like, they didn't get together in the final volume. They got together much sooner than that.
yeah.
Minor spoilers, sorry. Without being too specific. For example, other manga may have waited to much closer to the end to let the two protagonists get together, for example. And here, in volume 7, which is still comparatively early, Aqua got this huge reveal. Which, Akasaka could have milked that much more if he had wanted to.
It's not done.
I feel like, oh no, it's certainly not done. But there are interesting things happening that are changing things up quite majorly, I'd say.
Hmm. I think the two stories we're comparing are too different. And also I don't think Akasaka wants to necessarily repeat everything that he's done in the past.
Oh no, for sure.
There's definitely some similarities, of course. Don't get me wrong. But I think when it comes to this one, prolonging a potential love triangle, uh, I feel like that would be more on point for Aqua's character, revenge obsessive character, as I feel like he'll get back to be. But
Yeah.
I could be wrong.
I mean, right, if he gets back to that mindset or gets back into wanting revenge
Uh huh.
rather soon, then yeah, I feel like we definitely could stay in that for a bit longer, because the Aqua who wants revenge won't allow himself to be happy, and thus he will continue to play with these girls.
Yeah.
Anyway, I guess that's all on Aqua.
Yeah.
Then let's move on and talking about his half brother, Taiki Himekawa. He can't wear glasses in his role, or while playing this role, and he doesn't like to wear contact lenses, so he can't really see very well while he's acting. But he doesn't mind, because not being able to see details very clearly is not, well, it doesn't really hinder him, considering he's, well, or according to him, movement is the only thing that an actor needs to communicate. And I get that point. Like, in
Yeah.
stage acting, you can't rely as much on the nuances in your face expressions as you can on film, for example. So body motions and gestures are definitely crucial.
Yeah.
That said, though, I do think it's probably a good thing to be able to see uh, more clearly.
Maybe he has a very small prescription too. I don't know.
Could be,
I
could
have no
be.
idea. Yeah. I mean, do you really need to see the audience's face? Probably not.
Honestly, when I did acting, I never looked at the audience when acting,
Mm-hmm.
unless there was like a thing. But usually there weren't like look into the audience kind of moments. And even when I did, like, I was kind of blinded by the stage lights anyway, so like I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't really see the audience anyway. But yes, Taiki also reveals a lot of stuff that we've talked about, but also Taiki himself being, well, an orphan and having kind of been raised by by Kindaichi, to a degree at least.
Mm-hmm.
So that was interesting and seemed kind of nice. I thought like the relationship that they had seemed nice.
Yeah, I mean, he kind of makes it sound like he was using him, using him in a way that, oh, you orphan kids
Yeah.
have so much darkness. You're great, multiple talent.
Yeah.
I mean, he was obviously intoxicated at that point.
Oh yes.
But yeah, I think they do have a good relationship, uh,
Yeah.
even if he tries to plays it off as nefarious.
Mm.
But yeah, he's always hated his father because I guess it was because he was always sleeping with a bunch of women besides his mother.
Mm.
So right there, you definitely don't see the father being a great person. Kind of goes without saying.
Oh yeah.
I guess going back a little bit, he likes cute girls.
Oh
Enough
yeah.
to sneak into a bar like he's doing, or I guess not really sneak, but you know, unknowingly or that no one else knows,
Mhm.
unbeknownst to anybody else.
Oh yeah.
But you, when we learn about who his dad is you kind of see, oh, he's kind of taken after his dad in that way.
Yeah. Yeah. Assuming that is any of their stat.
Yeah, there could be the plot twist that that man wasn't even his father.
I mean, because if it's a different father for Akko, then it's probably a different father for Taiki as well, considering they supposedly do share a father.
That is certainly a possibility. One other thing going along with liking cute girls, clearly he has the despair of watching Akane and Kana being played by Aqua,
Yeah.
um, as he puts it. I think I had said in a previous discussion that what if Taiki, you know, had interest in Kana. I think that more or less confirms it.
Oh, I didn't even read it that way, but yeah, that makes sense.
But I mean, and maybe interest is too strong of a way of saying it. Maybe it's more so that he sees that they're cute and you know is just jealous of that. But I always wondered if maybe he could have had an interest in Kana, and could he have become a love rival in that way. But I don't know. It seems like that plot point may not become an actual thing,
Yeah, I don't really see that.
especially with this new dynamic between them.
Right.
Yeah, anyway, that's all I got.
Alrighty, then let's move on and talk a bit about Kana Arima. I really love getting a lot more insight into her acting and understanding even better why she acts the way she does.
Yeah.
As we find out about Kana's mom, who wanted to get into show business when she was younger, or well, all her life, I suppose, but she put that dream onto her daughter, which is not super cool. And so for a long time, it seems now. I mean, I guess at first kind of had fun with it, but for a long time now, the past several years, it seems like kind of hasn't really been enjoying acting for the most part anyway. But seeing the actors of theater la, she's reminded of how fun acting can be when it's done for the right reasons, I guess.
And I think it's also because it goes back to almost an arc we had previously of her holding herself back.
Yeah.
I think that she's always felt that she needs to be behind the spotlight, just kind of be a prop for others to shine brightly.
Mm-hmm.
And probably that's because of the damage that her mother did,
Yeah.
and probably hand with her attitude when she was a little bit of a brat, just kind of burning bridges in that way. But understanding that you can actually have fun with acting, when you go all out, um, was good for her, cathartic.
Yeah.
But that being said, it feels like we kind of already had that plot point already, particularly when she went on stage and was performing in Bikomachi. She wasn't putting her all in, and then Aqua does his main protagonist thing, and she feels, oh, I gotta perform my best, I gotta sparkle, I gotta shine, and then goes in it. Now that's not acting, but it is a pretty similar type of moment. So it's almost like we're retreading it, you know?
I didn't feel like it was too similar.
It helped that we got the background.
Precisely, we got the background. We understood the reason for why she does like, because previous to this volume, we understood that yeah, she acted in order to amplify other people's performances in a way, and for the production as a whole. Like we already knew all of that, but we didn't really know why. Now we do.
But we kind of knew why, though.
We didn't know about her mother and the pressure that her mother put on her, and like, and I think that's pretty huge.
Yeah, element.
And it's something that, oh, with that knowledge now, and having seen Kana actually let loose and act to her full potential, and shine as brightly as she can, having seen it in this instance here, I hope that she will be able to kind of let go of her mom's obsession, and well, somehow start acting for herself, kind of on her own terms. That may be hard, but something that I hope to see her ultimately manage to leave that all behind and just make acting a fun thing for her.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No, I get it. The other thing, or the reason why I bring that up is that we had talked previously about this being more of a learning moment for Akane, and I guess I'm bringing her into this, being more of a learning moment for Akane than it is for Kana, and yet it turned out to be a pretty big learning moment for Kana, which is fine, but also it feels like Akane was just totally right, and Kana was never in the wrong for being a team player,
That's a fair point. The story itself didn't really establish that she was wrong. That's true.
Yeah.
But the story does still, I think, show Kana's capabilities in several different ways, but across the previous volume and this one.
Mm-hmm.
And I see that as a win for Kana. Like, it showed in the previous volume how flexible Kana is to adapt to unforeseen things that happen. And it showed in this one that she can be a star too.
Mm.
So I think, like, we don't get to see that versatility in Akane.
Yeah.
So maybe if you see it that way, then the story is telling us that Kana is the superior actor. I don't know.
Yeah. No, and at the end of the day, the writer has every right to tell what he wants to do, and it's his character. So I totally get that, and it's not like it had to be a certain way, but it didn't feel like the way we were going was the way it ended up being. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And again, I feel like there was a bit of some retread, but I get it. And again, I've already said this. The mother part is very very interesting and key to understanding Kana more. So I'm glad we got that for sure.
Absolutely.
I guess real quick about the mother is that she seemed to be abusing Kana, and she doesn't go into specifics.
No.
I don't know if that's something that will be touched on earlier, because now we open the door for closure with her and her mother eventually, maybe.
I would love that, yeah.
And maybe that's part of the reason why Kana was standing in out of the spotlight in order to keep her mother out of her life, and therefore a happy family. You know what I mean? If Kana doesn't have the stardom, then the mother has no reason to step in and try to, live her life through Kana. You know what I mean?
Interesting. Yeah. I get that, what you mean.
But when she starts getting more fame and notoriety, maybe that's when the mother steps in and tries to, you know, take a little more, I guess, responsibility or take a little more control.
Hmm.
And maybe that's when Kana and the mother finally have a talk and set boundaries and things like that.
Well, right. Regardless of what it is, I definitely hope that it'll come to something like that at some point for Kana and her mom.
I guess that was more prediction, but I
But
just thought about it.
yeah,
Sorry.
yeah, no. That's all good. But well, the understanding that I got reading the volume here wasn't that she started acting as a background character for that reason, but rather that she did it because it was the only way that she could stay in the entertainment industry. Like if she hadn't changed the way she acts, she would have
Hmm.
probably, lost her her place in the entertainment industry altogether.
That's 100% why, but that also meant her mother wasn't as in in depth into her life, and she says that for the good of for everyone, it was best for me to do this. And I wondered, well, why would that be good for her mother? Her mother wants her to be famous, but with her just being the shadows, then her mother doesn't play a part. She kind of lives by herself right now. The mom doesn't have anything to do with her agency or
Mm,
finding clients or things like that.
right.
So I feel like that's where how it connects to her mother or her family being better off with her being the shadow. Because otherwise, it doesn't
Gotcha.
make any sense.
I see. I guess you could see it as Kana doing her best to, to be as famous as she can be, but at the moment, this is as far as well as she can do.
Hmm.
But yeah, I get your point also. I understand what you mean.
Yeah. Either way, it may not even be something that's brought up, but I think it could be another interesting facet of Kana uh, in the future if it needs to be or if the story goes that way. But
Mm-mm.
just wanted to
For sure.
bring it up.
Yeah. I guess about what you mentioned before about the possibility of abuse from Kana's mother, like that part in the narration, because it was going on for a couple pages with Kana narrating about her past, and about her mother, what her mother,
Hmm.
how her mother acted, what she did, and how she felt about everything. And it gets to that part where Kana's narration says I'm not sure how to put this. She started taking it out on me a little too. Like when we got to that panel and
Hmm.
those lines in the narration, it kind of
Yeah.
broke the because the narration up to that point had been very kind of, well, I'd say more proper kind of, and like not it
Yeah.
didn't seem as
Like a narrator, a proper
right,
narrator.
definitely very proper narrator. But there she like stops herself and she, I don't know, just the realness in that kind of unsettled me a little bit, and especially with the context of it all.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's really sad.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think it was a good moment in the story right there to include that, but it would be very interesting if we got a little bit more of it
Yes,
later on.
I love that.
So definitely open to that.
Oh yes,
That's all on Kana.
great. Then what do you got on Toshirou Kindaichi?
So in order to get to, well, maybe not in order to get to, but he he sees the opportunity to talk to Taiki by first talking to Kindaichi. And even though it seemed like Taiki Himekawa was his main target, the person that he wanted to talk about, the real father, he was asking Kindaichi a few questions. Now, it could be that he thought Kindaichi was actually Himekawa's father at the time,
Oh yeah.
and so he was just kind of playing coy. But then when he realized that he was an orphan, maybe he just gave up on that. However, Kindaichi does bring up a couple of, I'd say, interesting things about the history of Lai. How it started as a college club and they brought in talent with workshops. And then
Hmm.
when he mentioned workshops, it kind of gets awkward and he says that they were a mistake. Then
Right.
Aqua tries to push and he says we were dumb, young and dumb. And it just makes you wonder what in the world could he be so afraid to say about the workshops?
Precisely.
Was it something risque?
Yeah.
I mean, were they having an orgy? Like what? Sorry, but what were they just like smoking pot? Like what were these supposed workshops that
Right.
you can't even say? So to me, that is such an odd thing to not clarify, to then not bring up again ever.
Right.
Now, to be fair, this did lead to them going to another bar and, Kindaichi getting knocked out. And then Aqua was able to talk to Taiki the way he was and is somewhat private. But I still think that is such an interesting point, since we know I was going to these workshops, and that's supposedly where she may have met the baby daddy.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I feel like you can't just drop that, and that Kindaichi needs to come back at some point to reveal more.
I really hope so, considering it was all kind of, well, yeah, we didn't really get much answers from him. We got some information, but not like answers.
Yeah. And did he actually ever meet I'm curious. I don't think we ever, if we've heard that or not.
Yeah, I wonder.
Maybe he could give more info there. Because even if what's his name is the father,
Yeah.
I feel like we're gonna go like a Dr. Phil. You are not the father. You have to go through all that.
Yeah.
But even if Uehara is the father, Kindaichi could be the one that shows us how I and Uehara would have met.
For sure.
Even if I think that's just not the case. That Uehara is the father, but
Precisely, yeah. but like these workshops, as you were saying, like there's got to be more to that, and I desperately hope that we'll learn about it, and that it won't be left ambiguous like this for too long.
Right, I agree. And then the line, "You both act like people who are missing something," it kind of connects Taiki with Aqua in a more thematic way, but I don't know. If what you said, that Uehara is not even his real father,
Mm-hmm.
is true, that would make Aqua and Taiki pretty big allies.
Oh yeah.
Trying to, although,
Or could it? It could.
yeah, it could. I mean, okay. Well, sorry, we'll get into that in predictions. I just
Okay.
want to throw that out there, that it seems there could be more connection between them than just having the same father. That's all I have on Kindaichi.
Me too. Then next, let's talk about Ruby Hoshino. We learned that she named the idol group Bikomachi for two reasons. Firstly, to carry on the wish that I should have reached. And secondly, to get the attention of the doctor that Aqua was in his previous life. That's definitely gonna work out.
Oh yeah, it's already worked.
Yeah. And now Bikomachi is planning a trip to Miyazaki, which is where the hospital was, where Goro worked, and where Sarina was a patient.
Born, grew up, and died.
Yes, very, very sad.
Yeah.
So I'm very intrigued by this. I think there's great potential for interesting Ruby content to come here.
Yes.
And like focus on her, hopefully.
Yeah.
But it's going to be very interesting. And of course, at the end, Ruby, with all of her idle charm, managed to get the uninspired musician eager to write a new masterpiece.
Yeah.
Which was, I think, a really nice moment for her. Like, to really. I guess her persuasion ability with. In that kind of a way, like, it's totally something that I could have done. Like, not me,
Yeah.
but the character I could have done.
Yeah. No,
and Ruby definitely has the same ability.
yeah, I totally agree. Part of me wondered if Himura maybe even felt a little bit of I in Ruby.
Right. That could have been part of the reason, yeah. But yeah, I'm mostly excited for the Miyazaki trip now. Like, for Ruby now.
Absolutely.
It's gonna be a blast, hopefully.
Yeah.
But anything else on Ruby?
No.
Then let's move on to a little bit on Masaya Kaburagi. He sees star quality in Kana now, something he hadn't really done the past several years. Um, and he is intrigued by someone else that we didn't get the name of. Or I guess that could have been Kindaichi who said that. I wasn't totally sure.
Mm-hmm.
One of them said that they were interested in someone or intrigued by one of the actors, and we didn't get the name because it cut off. I thought it may have been Kaburagi, but it may have also been Kindaichi. Regardless of who said that, though, I think the person they're referring to is Aqua.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think Aqua was the other one who kind of surprisingly got good in the premiere there.
Yeah.
But there was another thing that Kaburagi said or did in that scene that he had with Kindaichi. He kind of laughed to himself, and he said that he had an interesting or an entertaining idea, but then he didn't share what that idea was.
Mm.
And I wonder what that could be. Do you have any ideas?
My only thought was that I'm going to get really rich.
Could have been.
Just because he's kind of backing B. Komachi,
True.
So yeah, if Kana's a real deal, that would only help.
That makes sense.
B.
Yeah.
Komachi.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. But maybe there is something else that he has planned. Maybe a great movie, or I would hope it would just be entertainment business wise and not anything devious.
Yeah, I mean, it was a little bit unsettling, I thought, and like Kindaichi thought so too. Apparently, like the way he laughed to himself like that, it was like, dude, are you evil or like what? But yeah, it's probably morally gray, or no, maybe not, or maybe it is. Well, I don't think he's a criminal. I just think he's a bit well, as entertainment industry producers can sometimes be, as he has already been kind of established to be.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I think that's all I had on him, though.
Okay.
Next, I also want to talk a little bit about Taishi Gotanda. So this guy figured out that Ai is the mother of Ruby and Hoshino, or Ruby and Aqua.
You're right, he did. That's a good point.
Which is pretty big, even though it wasn't like a huge part of the volume. I still think it's a pretty big thing for someone to have figured that out.
Yeah.
And sure, this is someone who, like, possibly the person that's been the very closest to Aqua throughout his life. So if anyone's gonna figure it out, I guess it's him. So it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But it does get me curious as to who else could start understanding all this. I think we've talked previously about Akane having decent potential to figure this out as well. I don't think she's there, or no, she's definitely not there, but I think she could, in the not too distant future, figure it out as well.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, we also learned that Gotanda had also been an actor in his past, at least for a time. But that was just a little thing. Any other characters that you want to talk about? Because I don't have any more characters here.
Well, let's briefly bring up Akane. She finally got to see the special acting from Kana.
Yes.
And she personally feels as though she's not there yet, which I guess is kind of cute to see that their little rivalry is alive in a way.
Yeah.
And not just rivalry, but her fandom for Kana is still kind of alive.
Right. Their admiration for each other, like it goes both ways. It's very interesting.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. The admiration turns into kind of rivalry.
Right. Yeah, and I think it establishes, at least to me, it does, that they are maybe about equal actors in just pure talent or skill, but they're very different in the types of actors that they are.
I agree.
And maybe that's what they admire about the other, because they each have something that the other doesn't have. But you don't need to have all of that in order to be a great actor, you know.
Yeah. Well, and it's also so hard to say, oh, this actor is better than this one,
For sure.
particularly when you're talking about a certain tier, you know?
Uh-huh.
Some of the best Hollywood actors, one person can say, oh, this person's better. And another one can say, no, I think this person's better. But you both agree that they're great,
Oh
you
yeah.
know?
Oh yeah.
And I think that's the case here is that, like you said, they're both great. They just excel at different things.
For sure.
The last thing about Akane is the dual wielding tongs of the yakiniku place. You know, she doesn't eat the meat. She just likes to flip it and serve it and take care.
It's her thing.
It's her thing. It's kind of a thing. You know?
Yeah.
So strange, but I like little quirks like that. That's fine.
It's
That's
very
fun.
very fun.
Moving on to Mem-cho. This is kind of more about Bikumachi in general. They have 20,000 subs now. Pretty nice.
Oh yeah.
Even if she had to justify why that's a good thing. She teaches them a great business expense hack, you know?
Right.
Let's get to it. That's Kana who says that, but
Yeah.
that was a pretty funny moment where they were just getting all these tax write-offs that they could.
Absolutely.
So they're going to Miyazaki for a production thing, right? Like to film a promo.
I think so, yeah.
I'm not sure if the song is going to be there or probably later, right?
I also think the song is a separate project, I think.
Yeah.
From this, yeah.
Yeah. So that may be a future arc, but
oh yes.
I am excited for Miyazaki as you are. And then lastly, Himura. This is their first introduction to him. Famous songwriter who was an active artist 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But he definitely kept on writing even up until now, but he's kind of lost his passion for it at this point.
Yeah.
At least not until the 16-year-old girl, 17-year-old girl calls him up.
Right.
A little creepy, but it's fine.
Yeah, reminds him of the old days, I guess.
I suppose.
And well, yeah, just in with his work, like.
Yeah.
Because I assume he enjoyed writing for Bikomachi, and now that there's a new Bikomachi and
yeah,
he has a face of one of the idols in the group, I think that just makes it more concrete and more fun for him.
Absolutely. And I think it's true when he says, or the narrator, whoever says, that when you know who you're writing for, I think it's just easier that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I do have more thoughts on him, but let's go into predictions before we get there.
Yes, let us dive into predictions. Well, yeah, as we were talking about the whole Ruby side of the story, the end of this volume definitely made me feel like we got some good Ruby content ahead of us. And I think maybe while Aqua is mulling over everything in his head, kind of getting everything sorted out or kind of adapting to his new, well, the state that he's in, I think he can be put aside for a bit, like for the end of the story. At least, maybe not totally, like he can still exist, but like for the focus to not be on him for maybe a volume or two, or maybe that's too much. I don't know, but for a while at least, and just so that we can focus on Ruby and the rest of Bikomachi more thoroughly, because I would really love that.
Yeah, I agree. We've kind of had that in somewhat small spurts.
Precisely.
In some of these arcs. But then he would always be in the background, or he ended up saving the day in some cases. But you're right. Most of the story has been him, the forefront. So it would be nice just to have it be Ruby focused for a little more than just a couple chapters. You know what I mean?
Exactly. That's what I really, really want.
Fair enough.
And especially at this point, because like it feels like it would make so much sense for her to take the spotlight now for a while Aqua is getting his life in order. No.
Yeah. So, going to Miyazaki, I'm sure that's going to bring some memories. I don't know if they'll go to the exact area where the hospital was, or even where she lived.
I get the feeling Ruby may want to go to the hospital to investigate like what happened to Goro. Where is he? Does
Right.
anyone there know where he could be? Like, is she gonna find his rotten body somewhere in a ditch?
Gosh dang it, Petter, you took my
Oh,
thunder.
sorry.
Why do you do that? It's like, it's leading up to it.
Whoops.
Okay. So she go to Miyazaki and go to the hospital, maybe the place where she's from. And somehow she'll try to get them to go to the hospital. So what if Ruby finds the decayed body of Goro?
What? That would be crazy.
I'm so glad that you that I thought about it and that you didn't just randomly shout it.
Yeah.
No. I totally agree with you. That was one of the things I had down here. I mean, look, I'm not 100% confident that that's going to be the case, but I feel like with the hints that they haven't found his body, he is missing or could be somewhere out there. I think it just kind of leads to Ruby maybe finding out that he's actually dead or something like that. Now, does that lead to Aqua's secret being revealed at some point? I don't know. Because that's going to be pretty depressing for her, I think, to find that out.
Oh, definitely.
And also my reasoning for why she would find the body there besides just being around is maybe they end up filming there, because why would she go walking around that wooded area, really? I mean, I guess she'd go for a walk, I suppose, but maybe they were filming in the area and just came across it somehow.
Definitely. And like with her, like I think pretty likely, she being interested in that area in the hospital because she has history there, and Goro has history there. Like, to just be around that area makes sense. Although, considering the body was never found, like, people ought to have been searching for it.
You would think, right?
And then, like, I guess it would be kind of random for her to stumble upon it if, like, nobody else had been able to find it. But I guess it's not impossible. Things like that does happen.
Yeah. Maybe she just finds a badge and doesn't even find the body per se.
I wonder. Yeah.
Who knows? But then, you also have Aqua. Is he coming to this? Would he even... I guess he wouldn't care if someone were to find the body.
Well, yeah, it wouldn't reveal his identity, but it would...
Right.
I still think he would care.
And I guess by care, not wanted. I don't think that he would mind if someone found it.
Right.
It wouldn't like be the end of the world if that happened.
No, but I think it would be interesting for him. Like, something that just came to mind for me, what if Aqua and Ruby are walking around the area together and find the body, the two of them?
That could be very interesting.
It would be interesting for Ruby for the reasons that we've already said. It would be interesting for Aqua because he would be able to examine the body and maybe learn something new about maybe the killer, or I don't know. Potentially.
He dropped the phone number when he stabbed him.
Exactly.
Yeah, so a lot of potential there. So I'm super excited for this Miyazaki trip. Feels like this is going to be a big one.
Oh yeah.
For the main plot and Ruby, like as we said. So talking about Himura, I just wanted to bring to light that he was an active artist 10 years ago. That's around the time frame that I would have died. Maybe a couple years separated, but I don't know. You can honestly just bring anybody to the story and be like, "Oh, that guy's him, the father."
Right. Yeah.
But I'm pretty convinced that the Uehara guy is not the guy.
Yeah.
I don't feel like that's the case. But Hima being a hotshot actor that, was super active 10 years ago, not actor, a songwriter
Mm.
and singer, 10 years ago, kind of puts him in a pretty suspicious position.
For sure.
Definitely wouldn't want a affair to get out there. That was the case, but that's just a thought. But if he's the father, Ruby's sending a video like that, even if he doesn't put it together, that would have been Ai's daughter. Maybe there's just some subliminal message that he feels Ai's influence there. But okay, I'm just throwing stuff out of a hat.
No,
right now.
Well, right. No, but it is. I think it is a good point, and I had thought about it a little bit as well.
Yeah.
But it's funny how the story, or in the manga here, by introducing him right after that reveal, I guess readers and Aqua are less likely to suspect him. Because we're like, oh, everything is good now. Except it probably isn't, as you and I are definitely on that ship. But by introducing him right after the reveal, suspicion is there's less suspicion on him most likely, and even like the story even made that point, like with Aqua like going into his revenge mode kind of when Himura was introduced, but immediately dropping it because he's like, wait, no, I don't have to do that anymore.
Yeah.
So I could see that as a point for him actually being the father.
Yeah. I mean, it could be an attempt to subvert expectations.
Exactly.
In that way. Kind of lull the reader into a false sense of security, and then whammo. I'm your father.
Right, because as the songwriter for Bikomachi, obviously he would have worked at least somewhat close with them.
Yeah.
So he would have known Ai.
So I don't know how that would tie into Lilalat and the workshops per se. But maybe
fair.
They still could have both.
I wonder.
Been there.
Maybe he did music for the theater as well. I don't know.
I mean, Kindaichi was mentioning how they got all sorts of hotshot talent through the workshop. So
yeah,
it's possible, but it's just a theory, and there's no strong. I mean, there's a couple of strong things I think we mentioned. Whoops, there's a couple of strong points that we mentioned, but nothing too concrete. But one last prediction I want to bring up is just about the Seijiro Uehara reveal.
Yeah.
Something is not right. And we already discussed the age discrepancy. So either Taiki is not a sibling, the 0.1% is somehow possible.
Yeah.
And they don't share the same father. Or Uehara's not the father of either of them.
Yeah, precisely.
There was a third option that somehow Uehara is still alive.
Oh,
but
yeah. Right.
I don't know. That seems like the police in this world are very incompetent. They couldn't find Goto's body.
Yeah.
Uehara is still around. Like what are we doing?
Yeah.
And he's not this hotshot actor guy. So how would he have connections to still be around or even kill Ai, to be honest? But regardless,
right.
Yeah. That's I think it's really either that he's not their actual sibling or the father's different.
Or my very spontaneous thought that just came to mind.
A fourth option?
This story has already been about twins. The two protagonists kind of are twins. What if Uehara has a twin?
Wow.
Who shares the DNA of Uehara, of him? They have the same DNA because they're identical twins. Wouldn't that kind of make sense as well? If Uehara has a twin who's alive and that is the culprit, that's the guy, that's the father?
Yeah.
Because then yeah, they would be cousins, Taiki and the Hoshino twins.
Yeah.
But they would be basically half siblings, or like genetically they would be half siblings.
Wow. That's pretty great. I like that. I really do. And I think when you are a twin, isn't it more likely that you can have more twins? No?
Maybe.
Yes? Is that a
I
thing?
won't swear on that, but I feel like I've heard that as well. But yeah.
Maybe that's just an urban legend. But regardless,
Mm-hmm.
that I really like that point you make. And I'm sorry to bring it back to Himura,
Uh-huh.
but I'm unsure if Himura is a first or last name. So what if we don't know his last name
Oh,
and it's Uehara?
good point.
Did he have a last name? I might have missed it, but
I think he's only introduced as Himura, yeah.
I mean that could be his last name and he just goes by it. But maybe it's his first name and we just don't know his last name. Just as Himura songwriter.
Right. Yeah.
Although it is Studio Himura.
Interesting stuff.
I don't know. But anyway, yes. So that's my predictions. I like this volume a lot.
Same. Very fun.
It's pretty fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I don't buy for a second, Akasaka, that we know who the father is yet.
Yeah.
You think you're so sly. Actually, he probably realizes.
I think he realizes that the readers will doubt this, yeah.
Yeah. But still, I like it. I like feeling like big brain. Like no.
Yeah, it's like
that's not the case.
Thank you, Akasaka, for making us feel smart.
Yes, thank you. When the real father is revealed, we're probably like, why did we see it coming?
Honestly, I hope so. I want to be outsmarted by Akasaka.
True. Yes, I would like to as well.
But yeah. It's very good, very exciting.
Indeed.
And very fun discussing it all.
Yep.
But I suppose that's all for today.
Indeed it is.
Great. Then, if you enjoy our content, you can follow us on Twitter at Umami Manga, and it would be lovely if you'd like to support us by rating our show on the podcast platforms and subscribing to our channel Umami Manga on YouTube. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time when we'll talk about Volume 8. Bye-bye!
See you later! Oh, Zelda or the gold cartridge. Oh, I remember when I played Pokemon.